I don't know how many of you remember Wonder Egg Priority. It was a pretty good show from a season or two ago that I made a video on. It follows this girl trying to revive her dead friend, and it had really nice animation, wasn't afraid to talk about suicide, which is like a really big underlying problem in Japan. I enjoyed the show very, very much. It had a number of strong female leads, which you don't see often, and really cool action with huge weapons reminiscent of Kill la Kill, which is an anime classic for our generation at this point. But the ending left a little bit to be desired, and by a little, I mean a lot of unresolved content that even J.R.R. Tolkien would have a hard time fitting into a 100-page chapter of Lord of the Rings a lot. But I stayed optimistic because after the finale, a special was announced almost immediately that would wrap up the show and act as the actual finale for the series, which I was very happy to hear at the time. And so a couple of months passed, and the special pretty silently made its way onto websites. I almost forgot about it, honestly. And boy, was it dog shit. I literally cannot remember the last time an anime series had such a poor excuse for an ending. And I've been watching a lot of Moist Critical lately, so my soft-spoken but incredibly unfiltered critique and commentary levels are off the charts right now. So I currently plan on RKOing this finale into absolute oblivion, just like it did to the rest of the show before it. Wonder Egg Priority's special ending was an absolute massacre. It was like they took a chapter out of Game of Thrones' book of terrible finales, and then in some big prank, remade it in an attempt to one-up it and unironically be even worse, and they succeeded. There was truly not a single redeeming part of this special that I could find, even from me who thoroughly enjoyed the original show. I was desperately digging into some deep part of me to like it as I watched, but I just absolutely could not. It was that terrible. And normally I worry about spoilers and the like for my videos. I try not to show them, but the thing is, I don't recommend anyone watch this series anymore. Anything I said before in my video is null and void. I amend the praise from my previous Wonder Egg video. And so today I'm talking about all of it. All the ways that this show went wrong in the finale, the car crash and fiery explosion as a result of a gas leak at a gas station from someone smoking their last cigarette before they killed themselves after watching this finale. And even if you haven't seen the show, I'm sure you'll find it amusing just how horribly it went. Let's go. So the original show, which basically follows four girls who enter their dreams to defeat monsters, which eventually leads them to saving their friends who killed themselves, basically ends with our four girls getting obliterated by this dream creation of sorts that seemed to be the reason causing girls to kill themselves. Like, they got the Yamcha treatment. They're like little webkin pet friends who helped them fight monsters, got one-tapped, and then the creation just feasted on their flesh. Like, it was actually really cool and dramatic in the original show. It was absolutely crazy. There was this awesome backstory behind the creation as well, like almost this Frankenstein-esque tale, which, again, I really enjoyed. And then this finale came along and God. And essentially, after each of the girls saved their dead best friends after they fought enough monsters, they got brought back to life. Yay, yippee. And then, the girls got their souls crushed fighting these monsters or whatever and lost hope. They quit being little Sailor Moon girls because their little pets died. Except for our main lead girl, who set herself at the end to like finish her mission or whatever and be a warrior of Eros and fight Thanatos. Yeah, that is what she said, word for word. And I don't think up to this point either Eros or Thanatos were things we had ever heard of. Like, she just drew up this little isekai story premise of hers at the very end of the show. And anyway, so now we're all caught up for the special. And then the special, which is at surface a nice 46 minutes, a lengthy 2 episodes, felt kind of promising at first that it might be able to cover most of that which was left undone. And then it proceeds to spend what I just covered in a minute in the first 25 minutes of the special. Over half of the finale is a recap, which was kind of convenient actually, because I, as well as I'm sure everyone else in the world, did forget about the show before coming back to the special. And then you realize that you've got less than 1 episode's length to see the entire series finished. I'm pretty sure the studio making the series forgot the show, considering how long this recap was, and they put it in for their own sake so they could figure out every single plot point that they wanted to royally fuck up before they started. So Koito, the friend who I, the main girl, was trying to save the whole story and did actually bring back to life at the end, doesn't have any memories with I. She's just a total prick now, and doesn't even give her the light of day to hear her out at all. which would be fine in all honesty if it were one of those stories like, you have to be happy you saved her, even if she doesn't remember you. That kind of tragic tale where you're happy but longing at the same time, that would have been all fine. Except the special also reveals that the reason Koito killed herself was because she had a track record as long as the Oxford Dictionary for preying on male teachers. And she convinced everyone around her that this one art teacher at their school sexually abused her and blackmailed him into trying to commit suicide with her, which he didn't. She was a terrible person the whole time. There was even an entire subplot where the cast thought that maybe the art teacher was actually the villain the whole time and manipulated Koito into killing herself. But it ends up he's just a really nice dude who got strung along by this girl who he ended up saving and rooting for no good reason. There is absolutely no redeeming quality about the girl Koito who the entire story was revolved around saving. And then, one of the 4 girls who was really torn up by her pet getting sent through the spin cycle by a flesh-eating monster, who ended the series really pissed off saying she never should have been friends with them or started fighting the monsters or whatever, is suddenly all goody-goody, once again, like absolutely nothing happened. Like they're just having a nice time with karaoke, and even though she shows reservations about going back to fight monsters once they throw out the idea, she is still extremely passive like nothing happened, like her little pet didn't get decapitated and eaten in front of her. And then she just disappears from the rest of the episode with barely even a goodbye right after. She just hops off the train and that's it, she's done. And then after that girl disappears, they introduce a new plot line. Yes, in the finale of the show they're introducing a new plot line where one of the girls is missing. Mind you, there are 10 minutes left in this special by this point, and they're pulling out an entirely new storyline like they've got Hermione's endless bag of tricks. And then, in this new plot, it's also revealed that the friend of theirs who's missing was always just a robot or something the whole time. I don't know, it's this whole science, parallel human explanation that was, of course, poorly done. And then even though they were like besties for the restie throughout the entire series, the 2 girls left just decide, nah, not worth it. I'm not gonna die for a robot. I'm not going back in there and getting rocked by that dream creation again. Nah, I'm not doing it. Which is fair, honestly, but suddenly this is where they draw the line? Really? They let their pets die, fight for 12 episodes, and now that they've got an actual reason to go in and fight again, save a friend who they know is actually their friend and won't come back as some distant parallel version of their former friend who hates their guts and preys on teachers, now they stop? And then, as you question this, what we all love to see in the last 3 minutes of any finale, 3 minutes, a nice time skip. And so I, the main girl, moves away. Yay, she forgot about everything that happened immediately after and dismissed her only friends in her whole life like they were nothing, yay. And as you think she moves on, a minute later episode time, multiple months in show time, she remembers a conversation she had with the robot girl, a really meaningless one, and just immediately snaps, and is now all for saving and rescuing her again. And this snap would have been fine if there were no time skip, but the special sets us up to believe she had moved on and finally made a better life for herself that wasn't hung up on the past, and then, oop, snap decision, let's actually make her go back. And it's actually the exact same format to how the original series ended too, where she loses hope after her pet gets killed, but then decides to be a warrior of Eros and fight Thanatos, the harbinger of middle school girls in Japan killing themselves. They did the exact same thing with the finale. It makes Ai into this indecisive little brat who can't make up her mind at all, and then she's like, oh, I'm back. And then the finale ends. The worst finale I've ever seen. The story of the Frankenstein creation, one of the best parts of the show, incomplete. The conflict resolution for this girl who no one really cared about, apparently, incomplete. Ai's character development, incomplete. Enjoyment of any single character in the show, incomplete. That's it. That's all I gotta say. As always, this has been the Anime Culture Corner. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for future in-depth show, manga, and character analyses.